Basic elements of spiritual training. From the above section, we see that thinking or reflection comprises one of the two initial factors or sources of spiritual training. To gain a clear understanding of the vital role of thought, however, it should be explained in conjunction with the second factor of the teachings by others. Amongst there are these two conditions giving rise to right view, the words of others and wise reflection. In reference to external factors, I know not of any other single factor so conducive to great benefit as having a virtuous friend. In reference to internal factors, I know not of any other single factor so conducive to great benefit as a wise reflection. These two prerequisites of right view can also be called the forerunners to spiritual training. They are the wellspring of right view, which is the starting point and key principle of spiritual practice in its entirety. Let us review these factors in more depth. 1. The words of others, paratogorsa. External motivation and influence, teachings, advice, instruction, transmission, schooling, proclamations, information, and news coming from external sources. This also includes imitating or emulating others' behavior and ideas. It is an external or social factor. Examples of such sources of learning include one's parents, teachers, mentors, friends, companions, co-workers, bosses, and employees, famous and esteemed people, books, other forms of media, and religious and cultural institutions. In this context, it refers specifically to those external influences leading one in a correct, wholesome direction and providing correct knowledge, and in particular those enabling one to attain the second factor of wise reflection. A person with suitable attributes and qualities who is able to perform the function of instruction well is called a virtuous friend, kalyana mitta. Generally speaking, for a virtuous friend to act effectively and succeed in instructing others, he or she must be able to instill confidence in the student or practitioner, and therefore the method of learning here is referred to as the way of faith. If the persons offering instruction, for example parents or teachers, are unable to establish a sense of trust in the pupil or child, as the case may be, who subsequently develops greater interest and trust in another source of information and thinking, say in the words of a movie star transmitted via the media, and if this alternative information is bad or wrong, the process of learning or training is beset by danger. The end result may be a wrong form of learning or an absence of true learning. 2. Wise reflection, yoniso manasikara. Skillful modes of thinking, systematic thinking, the ability to contemplate and discern things according to how they truly exist. For example, the recognition that a specific phenomenon exists just so. One searches for causes and conditions, inquires into the source of things, traces the complete sequence of events, and analyzes things in order to see things as they are and as conforming to the law of causality. One does not attach to or distort things out of personal craving and clinging. Wise reflection leads to well-being and an ability to solve problems. This is an internal spiritual factor and may be referred to as the way of wisdom. Of these two factors, wise reflection is essential and indispensable. Spiritual training truly bears fruit, and its goal is reached as a result of wise reflection. Indeed, it is possible for wise reflection to initiate spiritual training without the assistance of external influences. If one relies on the first factor of external instruction, it must lead to wise reflection for one's training to reach completion. Intuition, insight, and the discovery and realization of truth is accompanied by way of wise reflection. Having said this, one should not underestimate the power of the first factor, of the instruction by others, because only a minute number of individuals do not need to rely on this factor. Those who can progress solely by the application of wise reflection. These individuals, like the Buddha, are exceptional. Almost everyone in the world relies on the instruction by others to help show the way. All forms of formal and systematic education, both in the past and in the present, and all forms of schooling in the field of the arts and sciences, are matters pertaining to this factor of the words of others, Parato Gosa. The wholesome transmission of knowledge by way of virtuous friends thus deserves the utmost care and attention. The point that needs to be reiterated here is that in providing an education or skillful instruction, a virtuous friend needs to constantly keep in mind that this instruction must act as a catalyst for the arising of wise reflection in the students.